April 2025. Belgian teenagers caught with 5,000 ants in early April 2025 too. Belgian teenagers David Lornoy and Sepp Lodwijkes were arrested in Nairobi, County, after being found with over 5,000 live queen ants, primarily the rare Messer cephalode species, also known as giant African harvester ants. The ants were concealed in more than 2,200 modified test tubes and syringes designed to sustain them during transport and evade airport detection. The duo claimed ignorance of Kenyan laws, stating they collected the ants for fun. However, authorities believe the ants were intended for the exotic pet markets in Europe and Asia, where individual queens can fetch over $130. Hey everyone! On April 2025, two Belgian teenagers, David Lornoy and Sepp Lodwijkes, were arrested in Nairobi, County after they were found with more than 5,000 live queen ants. The ants, primarily the rare Messer cephalode species, also known as giant African harvester ants, were concealed in more than 2,200 modified test tubes and syringes. The teens reportedly told authorities that they used the syringes and test tubes to carry the ants, and that they filled them with water and food to keep the insects alive during transport so they would not be detected by airport security. The two were part of a larger group of tourists who had traveled to Kenya for the Easter holiday. They were caught at a roadblock in Naivasha where, according to the police, they had 2,200 empty syringes and 2,780 test tubes with the ants. The Messer cephalode species is native to the Afrotropics and can be found in countries such as South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and others. The ants are known to be highly aggressive and have a painful sting. When asked why they had the ants, the two teenagers claimed that they collected them just for fun. However, the police suspect that the ants were intended for the exotic pet markets in Europe and Asia, where individual queens can fetch as much as $130. David and Sepp were arrested and charged with 2 counts of attempting to export a protected species without a license and of trafficking in wildlife. Convicted, they could face up to 5 years in prison. It is not uncommon for tourists visiting Kenya to engage in the illegal wildlife trade, which has contributed to the decline of various animal populations in the country. In recent years, there has been a growing demand for live animals and plants for the pet and meat industries in Asia and Europe. This has resulted in an increase in the number of people involved in the illegal wildlife trade in Kenya. It's unclear how the two Belgians managed to sneak the ants past border security in their home country. However, once they arrived in Kenya, they were required to declare the ants upon arrival. The two apparently did not do so, which led to their arrest. Authorities in Kenya have urged tourists to respect the country's wildlife laws and regulations, and to refrain from engaging in the illegal wildlife trade. That's all for now. See you next time.